Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corman Productions, here to strike first, strike hard, and show no mercy to Cobra Kai Season 4, Episode 5, titled Match Point. The episode's description reads as follows. Johnny and Daniel's dojo and their fragile alliance teeter on the brink of collapse when they agree to a winner-take-all match. The episode was directed by Joel Novoa. 6 episodes all in all for Joel, almost all of them in Season 5. The episode was written by committee, as is typical for this series. Before going any further, I will tell you a couple of things. 1, this is not a sport-free dojo, so if you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go and check it out, and then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening on one of the platforms that this podcast is now available on, please follow and feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Corman Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. Alright, so it's been a while since I've done a video on this series. I have never actually found a way to approach this series in a way that completely satisfies me. So I usually just settle for recapping and making dumb jokes along the way, with the occasional bit of serious commentary. My other projects, such as Quantum Leap and From, have basically been my priority. With my co-host Stacy a little bit busy with other things, I figured I'd take a return to the series, which is much neglected. This is a fun episode, though it ends in a way that at the time I wish it hadn't, only because I wanted the Johnny-Daniel partnership to continue. The episode begins where we last left off, with Terry and Kreese having decided to confront Daniel and Johnny at their dojo. This is the first time Daniel has seen Terry in quite a few years, since the events of Karate Kid 3. Terry offers a mea culpa, while Johnny looks on confused, trying to figure out who is this person. Daniel's not buying the apology, I wouldn't either, and he's getting all hostile while the kids peek out on what's going on. Terry says that for whatever it's worth, they will still hold to the moratorium on the kids fighting, as long as Daniel and Johnny do the same. Kreese pipes in to say, just remember the deal. We win, you two are done teaching. Daniel angrily says that it's not going to happen because they are going to win, and then tells them to get off his property. Terry looks disgusted, but he leaves. Kreese talks to Johnny, saying, is this what it comes down to? Johnny Lawrence playing second fiddle to Lil Russo? Johnny says that this is his dojo just as much as it is Daniel's. Kreese says that the sign up front says Miyagi-Do. Not exactly subtle from Kreese, but an effective line of attack nonetheless. After they leave, Johnny asks Daniel, who's still staring after Silver, alright, who the hell was that? Kreese and Terry, as they leave, says, Lil Russo can certainly hold a grudge. And Terry says, now we get to work, so we can wipe them out. Cut to Cobra Kai. Tori and Robbie are looking for revenge for the shenanigans from the last episode. That would be with the sprinkler prank that basically Miyagi-Do pulled on Cobra Kai in the last episode. While Kenny kicks a dummy in the background. An actual dummy, not Robbie. Alright, so perhaps that's a little bit of a cheap shot. Terry enters and tells the class to listen up. From this point, there will be no fighting till the tournament. And Tori angrily asks, so our enemies get to humiliate us, and we have to just take it? Kreese pipes in and says, of course not. We should always show our enemies no mercy. Terry says, there's a time to fight. No use throwing a punch if it's not going to score a point. Terry's idea is to take all the anger and store it, to use it as fuel for the tournament. And we're starting to see a very clear schism here between Terry and Kreese. Kind of like what's going on with Johnny and Daniel. We cut to where else but a bar, where Daniel has clearly told Johnny the story of Terry and everything that happened in Karate Kid 3. Johnny's only takeaway is that a year after they fought, Daniel was skipped straight to the final round of the tournament. Yeah, Johnny, a lot of fans thought that was silly as well when the film came out. Daniel uses this as a pretext to suggest he needs to take over the training for all the kids. The Miyagi-Do way, because that's what defeated Silver last time. Johnny tells him not to start that shit again. He also suggests, if he's so worried about Silver, why don't the two of them go down there and kick his ass? Remember, kids, violence solves everything. Daniel, meanwhile, is talking nonsense in this scene. It's a mixture of booze and Terry getting into his head that's causing Daniel to basically be irrational and go to his worst instincts. This quickly devolves into Johnny and Daniel agreeing to a fight match. A match that will determine who will handle the training from this point on. Miyagi-Do or Eagle Fang. Johnny leaves, leaving $3, which is not enough to cover his tab. And of course, Daniel has to pick it up. This is the most Johnny-like thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. At the school, Dimitri has found the dish on Terry Silver, talking to Hawk, describing the tech way he went about figuring out who he was. Yasmin enters the scene, all hot and bothered by Dimitri's nerd talk, while Hawk looks hilariously confused. You know what? This is the first appearance for Yasmin this season. Moon, Hawk's ex, compliments Hawk on his new purple mohawk, and it is quite smashing. Moon says it's the color of enlightenment. Hawk claims that was totally what he was going for. Yep, sure thing there, Hawk. Yasmin is giving Dimitri the bad news. Her father is getting married in Sydney, Australia, and the timing means she won't be there for prom, nor the tournament. Yasmin says she will still be rooting for him. He's just gotta consider her and admire her from afar. By God, I think these two crazy kids might just work out. Moon and Yasmin departs, but not before grabbing Dimitri's ass. Hawk slides up to Dimitri to tell him, "No offense, but I have no idea how you pulled it off. Hey, you and me both, buddy." Dimitri isn't sure. He was just himself, and that somehow worked. By God, it's so crazy that it might just work. Dimitri asks about Moon, saying there seems to be some spark left. Apparently, according to Dimitri, Moon is no longer with her girlfriend Piper, and that's good news for the Hawkster. It'll be the last for this episode, that's for darn sure. Meanwhile, Miguel is telling him that Johnny got drunk and went on a Twitter rant about the match with Daniel, using hash browns and everything. Dimitri is confused because Miguel is his only follower. Hawk is excited. Sensei versus Sensei. No one else seems to be as enthused. Meanwhile, Amanda finds her husband sleeping one off on the couch at the dealership. Oh, Amanda, you could have been so much better off with me. I mean, sure, I'm not much of a fighter, and if you subtract your millions from your millions, you get what's in my savings account. But still, Amanda, you missed your chance. My heart belongs to another. You'll only get this reference if you listen to my From podcast. I'm pretty sure that no one currently listening to this does. The reason Amanda is interrupting Daniel's hangover-induced snooze is Samantha sent her a screenshot of Johnny's tweets and wants to know if there's maybe something that Daniel would like to tell her. She says she thought Johnny and Daniel had gotten past this. Oh, Amanda, they won't ever get past this. Until maybe next season. Louie and Lanouche come in to make their cameos. Louie doesn't think fighting Johnny is a good idea because Johnny is bad news. Well, gee, thanks for your contribution there, Louie. Goodbye. They both exit the scene, and Amanda asks Daniel what happened. Daniel says Terry Silver happened. A certified whack job from his past. Amanda's like, another one? Exactly how many of those are in your past, and how many of them are going to come out of the woodwork to ruin our lives? And Daniel's like, no more. Well, maybe not. Maybe I can't promise that. Amanda deduces pretty quickly what happened last night. You're not cheating here, Amanda, are you? You didn't read the script, did you? She says, just to be clear, you're not actually going to fight him, are you? Daniel's all, of course not. He probably woke up with a hangover and realized how stupid this whole thing is. Famous last words. Spoiler alert, Johnny did not in fact realize how stupid this all was. He cues up his 80s mixtape for his 80s training montage, where he sees his many reasons to hate Daniel LaRusso play out, including some moments from the first season. Johnny karate kicks a mailbox. Police are barely a thing in this universe, so I guess I won't point out that maybe you don't want to engage in criminal mischief in broad daylight. He runs in the beach and steals a volleyball from a random person. You know I like you and all, Johnny, but not when you do shit like this. He's a ball, but he still has a way to go. Daniel is at home preparing to call Johnny to try to patch things up when Samantha comes home, having played the cramps card. Takes Daniel a second to realize exactly what that means. Samantha asks why he's not at work, and he says he had a bit of a rough night. Translation, I drank a lot last night. Samantha doesn't look too impressed with Daniel right now, and I'm kind of feeling similarly. As she says, well, that makes sense. She knows all there is to know, but wonders what he did to set Johnny off. Yikes. It's pretty clear that your own daughter isn't quite on your side here, man. Sorry to break that news to you. But of course, Daniel doesn't accept responsibility for his own actions, and this really isn't a great episode for either of these two adults, but it's really not good for Daniel, especially. Samantha makes herself plainly clear. She wants to learn both styles, so she has twice the techniques to draw from when it comes time to face Tori at the tournament. Daniel asks, hey, are you sure you can wait that long? He heard about the birthday party from Amanda. Seems like Sam is doing all the instigating. He's kinda right about that, but all the same, he's mostly wrong throughout this episode. But here he kinda has a point. But neither Johnny nor Daniel can see the forest through the trees. What this really comes down to is Samantha is growing up and wants to make her own choices, go her own way. This is a great scene between these two. Cut to Cobra Kai, with Terry teaching class, telling them about the 3 Ds that leads to a champion: desire, discipline, and devotion. Kreese looks on at the class and seems confused and intense, but he does not say anything throughout the class. Terry says to the class that he understands how much they want to defeat their enemies, and they will when the time is right. Terry dismisses the class. Tyler says to the group made up of Tori, Robbie, and Kenny that it sucks that they can't do beatdowns before the tournament. And actually, Kyler, that's good news for you since you're mostly the one that always ends up losing. You talk a good game, that's for darn sure. Robbie says that just because they can't fight doesn't mean they can't give a little payback. Tori asks him, so what do you have in mind? Miguel finds Johnny, who's pumped, and wants to use a technique that involves punching Daniel in the balls to counter his bread and butter. Miguel is less enthused. He wishes he wasn't fighting at all. It's Johnny's turn to have his pupil give him hell, but Miguel is a great deal more quieter about it. Miguel asks, what if he doesn't want to stop learning Miyagi-Do? Johnny, missing the point, asks, what, you want Lil Russo to win? From Miguel's perspective, no matter who wins, nobody actually wins. Johnny says, somebody always wins. That's how fights work. Miguel doesn't seem convinced, but he wishes him luck nonetheless. Daniel talks to Miyagi, the picture of, and says he didn't want it to come to this, but he has no choice, and he trains for the fight. Daniel is so far up his own ass at this point, it's not even funny. And I don't blame the guy exactly, but still. Terry and Kreese are out to dinner. Kreese thinks that the lessons Terry is teaching are confusing. Cobra Kai always strikes first. Terry calls out Kreese for stealing Johnny's son. He warns he's going to take Cobra Kai down with all his old drama BS. Terry wants to win by forgetting the past and focusing on the students. He says that if they do that, everything else will fall into place. Daniel will have to shut down, and Johnny will rule the day that he ever left Cobra Kai. This seems to convince Kreese for now, and he thinks that there's some victories in their future. Hawk is getting a tattoo, or at least I think that's what he's doing. He's looking at his phone. He hears a door open and assumes it's a tattoo artist named Rico. It's not. In comes Cobra Kai gang. He ends up fighting, but it's many against one. Robbie ominously says he's not there to fight and grabs a blade while Hawk looks fearful. Will this be the end of the Hawk? Well, maybe, kinda, sorta. Fight night. Johnny arrives. Exciting music plays. Daniel meditates. The students are there and filming the event. Johnny says, maybe there is a better way. And Daniel replies, there is. You just don't want to admit it. Johnny laughs and says, have you ever considered the possibility that you can be wrong about something? Even one thing? Daniel here is absolutely not considering that possibility. So it's notable that Johnny is prepared to compromise and Daniel isn't. So the fight is on. Miguel and Samantha are the judges. First point goes to Johnny, and Samantha calls it, earning a look from Daniel. The second point goes to Daniel, this time called by Miguel. Another point for Daniel. 2-1 LaRusso. Uses the paralyzing technique he learned from Chosen last season. But Johnny still gets the point. It's a tied game. Next point is the winner. They end up kicking each other in the face at the same time, and both fall over. Both Samantha and Miguel call out the point, but neither one of them is actually sure, which still suggests they consult the video replay, which still suggests a tie. Enter Hawk, whose hair has been kinda shaven. Not completely, though. Everyone reacts in horror. Hawk's feathers have been plucked. Johnny wants payback. Daniel is calling for a more measured response. This is what finally ends up ending their alliance. Samantha sticks up for Johnny, which only infuriates Daniel more. He bemoans Johnny's influence, and Johnny says, you know what, you don't have to worry about that anymore, because we're done. And Cobra Kai walks away. Miguel, reluctantly so. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an episode. A pretty classic one. The only disappointment is wanting better from these two men. It is most definitely not their finest hour. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join my Corman Productions Facebook page. You can buy something from the Corman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee, which is a new way to support content creators such as myself. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Corman Productions, signing off.